Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday to you all. Hope you're having a great week. I just want to provide a follow up on my previous video. In the previous video, towards the end, I think I got a bit emotional. But in this video, I want to share some of the practical reasons or some of the reasoning behind what I said in my previous video. And yeah, so I'm sorry if I've hurt someone by coming out strongly in my previous video. But these are the reasons why I shared with you what I did last Friday. So I talked about three issues. Number one is abortion and why abortion is wrong. I mean, keeping aside the biblical point of view or the theological point of view, let's look at it from the angle of science. Science says that life starts at conception and life comes from God. So the Catholic Church, by saying abortion is not acceptable, is trying to protect and preserve life. Okay? That's the bottom line. And again, we cannot throw a blanket statement and say that, it's right or wrong. It's a sensitive issue. But this is where the church stands. So you have to preserve a life. Especially, you cannot extinguish a life just for your convenience. And the other issue I talked about was homosexuality, same-sex relationships. The Bible is very clear about that. In Genesis, it says God made a man and a woman for this reason. A man will leave his father and mother, will unite with a woman, and they become one flesh. So if you look at same-sex attractions, it is against the divine law as well as the natural law. And the other thing I want to point out is that we all have addictions and sins that we constantly fall prey to. But we shouldn't make the mistake of identifying with those sins or with those lifestyles. Or, in other words, our identity shouldn't be anchored in our sexuality. Like as a man, as a married man, yes, I can get attracted, I can be in an adulterous relationship if I want to, right? But I choose not to because I love Christ and the kingdom, and I value the kingdom of God more than the needs of my flesh. It is always a battle between the flesh and the spirit. But as Romans chapter 8 says, if we live by the Spirit of Christ, we will slay our flesh, right? And we will not give in to it. So that's the reason why same-sex attraction is not appropriate. Paul talks about it in the Romans, and we all know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So just because people feel good about this, and just because that's what the culture is propagating these days, it doesn't make it okay. And Jesus told the adulterous woman, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. That is definitely something called sin, and we have to accept that. And sin doesn't get blotted out from this world just because we feel good about it. The other issue I talked about was dressing modestly and neatly while attending Mass, while going to church. The reasoning behind that is, for example, let's say you're going to an interview or you're going to meet a very, very important person who is going to decide your life, right? Would you go dressed shabbily with toned jeans, with a spaghetti top, with exposing your tattoos? We won't do that. Well, according to me, this is more important. You're going to worship God, the creator of the universe. You have to go with reverence. And if you are not dressed up properly, or if you are wearing a revealing dress, not only does that show irreverence to God, but you're distracting everyone else around who has come there to worship God. And you're not only distracting them, they're also going to look at you and judge, saying that, look at this person. Is this the way that you dress for church? Right? So it is more embarrassing for you. And I think most of us don't want to do that, right? Be embarrassed in public. So it's very critical that we wear our best when we go to worship God. And the Mass, as you know, it makes the perfect sacrifice of Christ. It brings it, or it makes it live for us, and God is inviting us to that worship. And let's give it the due reverence by dressing up appropriately, both men and women. So thank you for listening to this. I hope those reasons make sense to you. I will see you again pretty soon, might be in the next couple of days. Have a nice evening, you all, and take care. Bye.